Okay.
5 to 5:30 was our preparatory when we were running through our questions. And 5:30 the panelists have joined in now. And 6 o'clock the audience joined in. So it's a very long session for us. No point showing this recording.
Yeah, it's not just here. You can speak correctly.
So I'm going to be muting when I'm not speaking, so that just in case there's some external sound, don't want it to interfere.
You can. Well, the moderator can mute and unmute you also, and you can do it yourself too.
Actually, the moderator should do that. As I said, somebody raises a hand.
Okay.
And that person is unmuted. Otherwise, there is a lot of disturbance always.
Yeah.
Sorry, you said
okay?
the moderator will mute and unmute. We shouldn't do that ourselves.
If you want to jump in, you can. But
okay. Yeah, I think better the moderator does it. I think so that it's.
No, we'll give that flexibility. That I mean, you can jump in.
Okay.
Yeah. But of course, if you are not speaking, then one should mute oneself. You know.
Yes.
Okay, 6 minutes to go. So any last questions anyone has? We'll take an audience questions at the end. Rishu, will you bring in Rakesh as a panelist right at the end for his question?
Who?
Bring in Rakesh as a panelist. Let him ask his question and give the answer also if required.
Rakesh?
Chauhan, we just talked about that. Air conditioning, yeah.
Okay.
So you can right click and make him a panelist, no? So he can then talk about it.
He'll be joining in?
Can at 7:15.
Okay.
At the Q&A time.
Okay.
When I read out his question, you can make him a panelist that day. We have that facility, might be used. Amit, can't hear you. Your voice is cracking a bit.
I'm having a bad signal today. I mean, very surprising. I don't have this typically, but today is like simply again and again.
In fact, the signal was fine initially. Now it seems to be a little off.
Yeah. I hope it corrects.
Maybe you can connect from your personal hotspot or something. Maybe that'll be better.
That's even worse, yeah.
Oh, that's worse.
I can try. Let me try. Maybe better than this.
To be on the safer side, I've got my tea.
That actually looks like tea.
Amit, can I ask you a question not related to retail design before we begin?
Please, sir. Thankfully.
How did you manage to get a haircut?
I haven't got a haircut. I mean, this is the longest I've had in like, I don't know, 20 years. No, not 20. 12 years back I had a ponytail.
Maybe you managed to get it 1 week before the lockdown began.
No, actually, almost a month before that. But I keep my hair really short, so it does work. But I hope shops don't open and then I can, have a pony.
So this is the new normal.
So we are 3 minutes from starting.
Should I try and, is it okay or should I try and go to hotspot? What's your opinion?
No, it's fine. It's fine. I mean, your audio is fine. Video is also fine.
Okay, let me try that, yeah.
So the attendees are mostly from the industry, right? What's the profile, roughly? Any idea? I mean,
A lot of students also.
okay,
But mostly interior designers, architects.
right.
What's the strength of IIID Delhi chapter? Just to get a sense.
700 plus for Delhi plus NCR.
Okay. And all over, like all together?
All India would be close to 10,000. So Delhi
As
would
our,
be 700, NCR included would be around almost 1,000. North India, the other chapters that report into us, Jaipur, Agra, Chandigarh, all those combined would be another 2,000. So that's 3,000. And Kolkata in the east also reports into us. So that's another 700-800 there. So North India,
Hemant, has
essentially Delhi chapter looks after indirectly around almost 4,000 out of that 9,000 people.
Okay.
Hemant, has the Dubai chapter started?
Dubai started. After Dubai, another one, 32nd chapter, Mangalore has started. They're affiliated with us.
Okay.
Mangalore.
Mangalore, yeah.
Oh, wow.
And they are with us in this series.
They are with us in this, yes.
Maybe we should do a story on this.
This is also the first time that 7 chapters have got together to do anything. Normally, it's very decentralized and every chapter works very individually.
Okay. I think I'll reach out to you later with questions and possibly a story or something.
It's 6, so I let this.
Yeah,
just
start.
we can start
the broadcast and go to Facebook Live.
Yeah.
Waiting for you to come back. So you're officially visible to people, by the way. So. Okay, people have started joining in. We've already got 96 and more. I'm waiting for Rishu to come back. Give us a green signal.
Yes, we are live now.
Right.
Okay, so officially, let me welcome everyone to 2020, the IID Design Webinar Series, which has been jointly conducted by 7 chapters of IIID. That's the Delhi, Goa, Jaipur, Mumbai, Chandigarh, Mangalore, and Coimbatore chapters. So once again, officially thanking all my fellow chairpersons, Siddharth Naik at Goa, Anshuman Sharma at Jaipur, Leena Nimbalkar, Mumbai, Manmohan Khanna and Ashima right now at Chandigarh, since they're still deciding who the chairman is. Mohammad Nisar at Mangalore and Geeta Karthikeyan at Coimbatore. Also another thank you to Jabin Zacharias, our president, Jignesh Modi, our honorary secretary and the mentor of Delhi chapter, and Tanuja BK, president-elect of IIID. I'm now introducing everyone and handing over to the moderator for the evening, or the host for the evening today, MB Ravi Kumar. Ravi is the honorary treasurer of the Delhi chapter and also the partner and principal designer of Mandeville Designs Inc. And Ravi, over to you, and let's start.
Thank you, Anand. Good evening and welcome to the fourth webinar of IIID Delhi of our ongoing design webinar series 2020, which will be on hopefully for the next 6 months, if not more. On behalf of our chairman, Hemant Sood, and our entire managing committee, I welcome you all to this discussion. We will start off by playing a short video of our supporter, Wellspun Global Brands Limited. But before that, let me hand it over to Rishu Anand, who is the chairman-elect of IIID Delhi, who will be moderating this session today. So without further ado, let's proceed with the discussions.
Thank you, Ravi. Good evening, everyone. We'll start with small presentation by our sponsor, Wellspun. I'll just play this video.
Rishu sound.
Today, Wellspun Group takes pride in being one of the world's largest home textile manufacturers and large diameter pipe makers, and finds a place on India's Fortune 500 list too. All thanks to creating category-defining products. And we aim to replicate that in flooring through Wellspun flooring. Just the thought of dust, noise, mess, and the time it takes to change floors, along with the lack of exciting designs, forced people to resist a change in flooring. Not anymore. Wellspun Flooring has introduced innovative products with new age, personalized, and exciting designs. So be it a new space or an old floor, we are all about change made easy. We have our innovative products to speak for us. Wellspun Flooring's click and lock tiles, with their unique click and lock technology, are a revolution in the flooring segment. For those looking for comfort of carpets in a convenient tile form, our carpet tiles are the right fit. If people want flooring with a seamless charm, they don't have to look any further than our wall-to-wall carpets. Or if they wish for something that looks like real grass, or even better, greens is what we have for them. And with our path-breaking fusion floors, customers can turn designers by mixing and matching products and designs. Get set for a revolution in flooring with Wellspun Flooring.
Over to you, Ravi. Yeah.
Thanks, Rishu. You know, that COVID-19 has been humanity's biggest disruptor of life and businesses in recent history, at least is an understatement. Apart from creating an overwhelming sense of caution, fear, and concern, it has severely impacted sentiment with regard to most commercial transactions. Amid the global growth of online and multi-channel marketing and their effect on physical retail, including malls, the coronavirus crisis will be a mighty game changer for retail across the world. To talk about the future of retail and e-tail and how designers and architects perceive this, we have today an esteemed panel of 3 well-known designers and a media expert. I would like to introduce the ladies first. I'd request Rishu to please play their presentation while I read out a brief introduction. We'll start with Pankhuri Goel. She's design principal of Studio Lotus and is a graduate from IIID Ahmedabad, and now leads retail design and adaptive reuse initiatives at the studio. Some of the landmark projects of hers are the Quorum in Gurgaon and the Brand Experience Center for Two-Wheelers Ather in Chennai. Her latest project, On the Anvil, is a 40,000 square meter tech center for Royal Enfield in Chennai. She's also an expert panelist on many forums, and her work has been featured in international journals too. Welcome, Pankhuri, to our webinar.
Thank you.
Our next panelist is N. Jayalakshmi, Senior Associate Editor, VM&RD, a specialized magazine on visual merchandising and retail design, has had a long association with VJ Media Works, handling the editorial side of the publications. She has over 20 years of experience in content editing, writing across different media platforms, including print, online, video, films, and radio, and has worked with established media organizations. She closely follows retail trends, particularly in the areas of design, technology, brand communication, and shopper marketing. Welcome to our forum. We look forward to your input on retail trends.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Our third panelist is Ravish Mehra, who's my senior from college. He was 1 year senior to me and the only guy who ragged me at college. After graduating from SPA, he set up his architectural practice, Ravish Mehra Deepak Kalra, in 1980. He has a vast repertoire of projects all over the country in the retail, corporate, and hospitality sectors. Ravish is currently working on projects for BPOs and KPOs for telecom companies in India, Africa, and Southeast Asia, as well as IT sector projects in North and South India. He has taught at SPA, Sushant School, and Vastukala Academy, and is on the panel of the Council of Architecture for inspection and accreditation of architectural institutions. Ravish, we are honored to have you on the panel today.
Hello, everyone.
Our last panelist, and certainly not the least, Amit Aurora, a graduate from the 1993 batch from SPA, co-founded DCA Architects in 1996 as a 360-degree integrated architecture and interior design solutions firm with the unique ethos of dream, design, discover, and deliver. Amit has successfully designed award-winning spaces and retail identities of various corporate and luxury brands, along with luxury stores, boutiques, restaurants, salons, residences, and other commercial spaces pan-India. He has won numerous awards, and his work, DCS projects, are widely acclaimed. Happy to have you on the panel, Amit. Welcome to all the panelists. I now hand over the reins back to Rishu to go ahead with the questions.
Thank you, Ravi. Good evening, everyone. So we start our discussion for today. I would like to start my first question with Jaya. You know, Jaya, the digital world has already started disrupting physical retail. You know, COVID has just added fuel to the fire. And now shoppers don't hesitate to buy, on digital platforms. They have been following the system of ROPO, research offline, purchase online. How do you see this trend moving in the future?
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me here. So coming to a question, Rishu, the thing is that COVID has sort of tossed aside all our expectations and assumptions, right? The digital momentum had begun, certainly, and it was inevitable in any case. But it has, got accelerated with the COVID and the lockdown situation. And what is also interesting is the profile of shoppers who are going online to buy, right? That profile has expanded. People who were earlier apprehensive about going on e-com sites, especially to make payments, are totally comfortable now because there was no other choice. But moving forward, again, it can only be speculative because there's not much data that has come in yet. It's too early. But what we can see is the shopper behavior across different modes of buying. For instance, these are again projections, no data, speculative. For instance, there is likely to be a revival of what they call as revenge shopping, like it happened in China, right? But how long will that last, we don't know, because everything depends on how the COVID scenario itself unfolds.
Yeah.
In the long term, people will definitely come back to the brick and mortar space. Now, why would they want to go to a retail space is a question that I guess is interesting, because shopping is also more some social and emotional need. We can buy most things today online. We still like to go out. We still like to interact with people and have that experience, right? So what does all these mean for those who are in the business of providing designs and retail solutions is what is interesting. To me personally, what is likely to happen is in the technology space. Now, technology again is inevitable, but the way technology will be approached and perceived will probably change. Because earlier we always had this perception about technology being a jazzy add-on, right?
Yeah.
You add it as a wow element to shoppers, but that no longer may be the case because shoppers are going to spend very little time.
Right.
So how will that interface evolve, the experience interface evolve using technology? What kind of collaborations will come into play will be something to watch out for, certainly.
Right. Ravi, please unmute yourself.
Yeah. So what you're saying, Jaya, is that the brick and mortar retail will retain its place, but probably with an abundance of caution.
Absolutely, right? Absolutely. Because caution and safety are what shoppers are also going to look for as top priority. Also, the way they perceive brands. There is likely to be a preference and skew towards brands which assure them of safety and are very reassuring. Yeah, certainly.
Right. So let's see what our audience feels about this. So we'll try to we'll like to play the first poll now. Rishu.
Yeah.
So what is the future of shopping?
45 minutes to vote, 45 seconds, sorry, to vote, and that's about it.
I'll just read it out for the sake of those who may not be able to see it very clearly. What is the future of shopping? 1, research offline and purchase online. 2, research and shop online. 3, shop as before in malls and markets. And I guess even the panelists can vote.
Here are the results.
47%.
47% people think that they will be, doing research and shop online only.
Right. So a bit of ropo here.
Yes.
Thank you, Rishu. Yeah, please.
So, taking clue from what Jaya has said, Amit, I would like to put my question to you next. I mean, there was a news last week that luxury brand Chanel, Louis Vuitton, Tiffany and Company announced that they will be, increase in prices for within few days by 5 to 7% in South Korea.
17%, yeah.
Sorry, 5 to 17% in South Korea. In spite of that, as soon as the news broke, hundreds of shoppers queued outside, these stores in South Korea. Looking at this trend, what do you think, future of luxury retail specifically in our country is?
So I'll answer that in a little. So nobody knows what the future will entail. Nobody knows what the new normal would be. That's a given, right? But having said that, we have history to fall back on and to learn how humans behave after every crisis, short-term, long-term, how effective. So two things are a given. Rich people are not going to go anywhere. If anything, they're going to come out even richer after this crisis. It's the marginalized who will suffer for sure, and they'll suffer in a big way, but rich are going to get richer. Or some other people will get rich, the wheel will churn. That's the thing. And rich people behave in a particular fashion the world over. And I think retail is a very good way of getting their money into circulation. So I'm very hopeful luxury retail will survive and thrive. And I hope it survives and thrives. And I also wish that the paradigms change, how we look at luxury changes. And we become definitely more sensitive, more, we have more empathy in the way we work, the products developments, the formats, long-term changes in our behavior across the spectrum. But having said that, as and when things get back to normal, and they will get back to normal, there may be a new normal. The luxury retail is always going to be there. It has always been there. It will always going to be there, come what may.
Right. In the waiting room just before we went live, there was a talk about Amit getting a haircut. So I'm reminded of a quote by Mary Dillon, who's the CEO of Ultra Beauty. She said, "Until Amazon creates a drone that can cut your hair, there's a physical and real reason to come to the store." Does anyone?
No,
yeah, Amit.
That aside, even if I get a drone to cut my hair, I would still want to go and be seen and see people. I mean, we love to watch other human beings. We love to interact. That's so paramount to human nature.
Yeah.
And however much we may do over, net and through technology and all that, that human touch will always thrive for that human touch. And that's not going to go away. As I said, there may be new normals, there may be new temporary or long-term new behavioral shifts, but that whole sense, that whole need to interact with other human beings is not going to go away.
Absolutely. Any other views from the?
I just like
so primal in our nature. I mean, that's who we are.
Yeah.
So I think Pankhuri wanted to say something here.
Yeah. So it's a very idealistic point of view, but I just hope that COVID and everything that we've been through is an eye-opener for us, and it pushes us to some kind of environmental and social consciousness, so that even like our choices that we make, there is a move to more purpose-led brands. So that's in the luxury space. That's at least what I'm hopeful for, that there is some movement towards brands which are more purposeful. And also the idea of buying local, we have so much like local talent. So I'm hoping that there is some sort of nationalistic pride which emerges out of this, and there is a movement to buying local again. So that's at least what I'm wishing for.
Absolutely. I think, Ravish, you had a contrarian view, or you wanted to say something?
Ravish, you have to unmute yourself.
Yeah. You see, when we talk of shopping, it's also like what we call as a emotional and recreational experience. So like Amit said, that people like to step out, people like to go around malls, people like to go around the shopping streets. I mean, we have something called Connaught Place that is perhaps one of the finest or the mother of our malls. I consider Connaught Place as the landmark. Something like that does not exist anywhere in the world. How many malls we may create, the scale and the grandeur of this area cannot be replicated, and people just want to go around. And so I'm saying that the physical stores would be always very important, and people will always want to go step into them. And of course, I mean, you would want to touch and feel and experience the product. Would you buy a car online? Would you buy a piece of expensive jewelry online? Or would you buy a leather Birkin bag online? I mean, I'm sure most of the answers would be negative. So I am confident that the stores are here to stay, and the retail designers will have ample jobs. Don't worry.
All right, Jaya, yeah. You'll have to unmute yourself, please. Please unmute.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, so given that stores are going to become more as community spaces, so to say, rather than as consumer spaces, as designers, do you all see the whole approach to experience design shifting? We've always been talking about experiential, right?
Yeah.
So now do you see that sort of shifting, because experience is going to be different. It's not just buying and selling, not just transactional, right?
Yeah.
So there is, and now especially there's a lot of trust and reassurance that shoppers are going to look for. So given that kind of brand narrative that needs to come in, how do you think design is going to play a role
Yeah.
Would any of the designers on the panel like to take that up?
Before we go there, I also wanted to make a point regarding, since we were talking about luxury retail earlier, and specifically, I think. So a lot of luxury retail still happens and has been happening through appointments, very exclusively. Merchandise going to people's places and across segments, be it an international brand or be it a local jeweler. The whole rigmarole, literally showrooms are set up in people's private residences or houses to cater to them. So even when the rich and the powerful don't go into a public space to shop, they still shop. So shopping through interaction and not faceless through over the net is again itself a very psychological need we have. And
right.
And social distancing has always been practiced in luxury retail, I believe, just by the amount of being luxury. I mean, forget about stores where you get, you get queues outside a lot of luxury stores, but then that has become affordable luxury or aspirational luxury. But the real luxury within those stores are also happening on the top floor only through appointments and very exclusively. Like Harry Winston has a by appointment in all the stores all over the globe. So on and so forth. So that whole craving for shopping is again a very primal instinct we have. I mean,
right. But I guess there'll be some sectors which would bear the brunt now. So let's do a little poll on this to see what people think about this. Rishu?
Yeah.
Rishu, our poll number 2. Yeah.
Yes.
So what retail sectors will be most affected post-COVID? Food and beverage, health and beauty, clothing and footwear, home furniture and household, leisure and personal goods. Please cast your vote for any one of these 5. I hope the panelists are also voting. Amit?
There was none of the above, because I sincerely believe nothing is going to get affected post-COVID. During COVID, yes.
I'm surprised by the result right now. I mean, people think that food and beverage will be affected the most.
Beverages is the one which is rocking right now. Yeah. All the F&B stores here, because the restaurants are shut, people are cooking more at home, and all F&B stores are doing twice the average business these days.
Yeah.
I'm probably talking about physical spaces. So like while online it's booming, but because there's no
physical spaces.
Yeah, really?
And I got numbers from clients. I mean, the store which used to do X number before the crisis hit is doing 2X right now per day. Despite restrictions, despite number of people allowed to come in, despite all the, the sanitization happening, the time being taken, extra time being taken, the whole protocols of getting in merchandise, everything has slowed down, but the turnovers have increased.
Absolutely.
There was a very interesting point from somebody in the audience. They said, you should have had an option which said none of the above. So Amit, your vote would have gone to that, right?
Totally. Post-COVID, totally. During COVID, of course, a lot of segments are even shut right now. So of course they are affected.
Right.
Also, I would like to say that there is, we are only looking at something that's so-called luxury segment. Let's not forget that a lot of retail design also happens in need-based product. I mean, supermarket segment is one of them, the grocery store, the 7-Eleven type of stores. And there are a lot of budget stores, which are like only offering deals, or which are like offering, the best of cost cutting options. So, which also aim at a very large mass market. I mean, the entire economy or the entire retail economy is not just merely 2% of super luxury segment, which is buying all those fancy goods. So let's not forget, I mean, unfortunately, I think, like I keep saying, I mean, I am of course one of those culprits that 5% of the architects end up working for 95% of the architects end up working for 5% of people in our country. So let's not forget that there is a very, very large number out there which also needs to be serviced, and the retail design has a humongous scope in that context.
Totally agree.
Right.
So now, going forward, we see that, the trend has been shifted from markets to malls, and, sanitization has been a challenge. So in the current scenario, it will be very difficult for retail stores to sanitize all products every time, someone enters or touches them. And either the consumer will not be able to, allow to touch the product, or we will shift to, augmented reality. However, a lot of people like to go malls and markets to, have that experience of touch and feel. So Pankhuri, I would like to ask you, as designers, should we adopt the augmented reality, or is there any other way, post-COVID scenario, we can do some kind of a design intervention?
So personally, I'm very old school and fairly wary of technology, being
Totally
probably
agree.
a member, but still that's my point of view. But I do think that this COVID will cause a fair amount of disruption. At least I don't know whether it's going to be short term or long term, but I think some of the experiments in retail which people have been trying out, I think that's just going to get accelerated, but I think it'll be more functional than gimmicky. Like augmented reality also has a lot of gimmick attached to it. But things like the use of smart mirrors, for example, or virtual fitting rooms, I think those actually make a lot of sense in the times of social distancing when people are very wary of being in contact. I think the use of those devices will probably get accelerated. So I definitely see that happening. And I also, I think this is something Jayalakshmi also brought up about stores being more experiential spaces. So I think that's definitely going to happen. I think because the functional needs can pretty much be taken care of online. So I would imagine that the stores really become very engaging, immersive spaces. Now, whether augmented reality is used for that or any other kind of technology, I see there being a fairly distinct shift in the experience from being merely transactional to really being an experience that you enter into, where you can maybe touch, feel, and experience the product. But you might make the purchase from the comfort of your house, because that is also something that we're getting used to. So that is really what I see happening.
Right. Yeah, Jay. You'll have to unmute yourself, please.
Yeah. So just to add to what Pankhuri was saying, if we take the analogy of the books, the music, and the entertainment segments, the whole user experience interface evolved, right? Earlier we had clunky text just put up online. Today we can flip through pages. It's almost close to reading a book, although not many of us would like. We prefer our books, but still. Similarly, even in the case of movies or even the OTT entertainment scenario, the format has changed. Even within the digital segments, the formats keep evolving. Therefore, I think even if there is a skew towards online in the long run, I think design will still have a very important role to play, including aesthetics, because it's all about experience in any case, like as Pankhuri was saying. Therefore, my other question also, if there is a shift in approach, we can come to that later, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if we're talking about augmented reality, I think another thing that's probably going to happen is the use of our own personal mobile devices. So I think that's something like if you're familiar with the Amazon Go format, where it's a seamless experience. You walk in, you browse the products. It's a seamless checkout experience. So I also see that happening quite a lot, where if you need more information on a product, you can pretty much just scan the product and more information comes up. Just minimizing human interaction. So while it will work in certain formats and it won't work in certain formats, but I definitely see it coming up in some spaces.
So, Pankhuri, will I be wrong if I say that brands that take advantage of augmented reality will be the brands or will not be the brands? I believe they will be the brands that satisfy more customers long term. Do you think that is the way forward?
Yeah, it's very difficult to say anything long term. I think while this might address the short term concerns of people, but we all also tend to forget things easily and move on. So is this really going to be a need in the future? That's hard to say, but I think definitely short term, it will definitely address concerns.
You know, this guy, Om Malik of True Ventures, he says that augmented reality is the boy who cried wolf of the post-internet world. It's long been promised, but has rarely been delivered in a satisfying way. So,
yeah. I think as long as we move from the gimmick aspect of it and move to a more functional aspect, I think that can be bridged probably.
Yeah, I agree.
Right. Are you saying something, Jaya?
No, yeah. So when we talk about technology, we always talk about AI and this and that. But technology is what we are doing now is thanks to technology, right? It's just facilitating a seamless, simple experience. So
even this webinar is all about technology.
Absolutely. Who would have thought of it 10 years ago?
Right. Great. So let's see what people in the audience feel about AR and the sectors that should adopt it or would adopt it. Rishu, can we have poll number 3?
Yes.
So in 5 years from now, to what extent would stores adopt augmented reality? 1, only in the luxury segment. 2, in most stores. And 3, no significant change from now. Please cast your vote for any one of the 3 options. Let's wait for the results. In most stores, that's interesting. 47.1% say in most stores.
Yeah.
But personally, Rishu, I feel that this vote should have been closer to 70-75%, because that is definitely the way forward with our, Wi-Fi cities and AI, which is coming up in a big way. Everything that we do, our mobile phones, this webinar, and everything that we do is all AI.
Yes.
So it's not a question of when will AI come. I mean, it's been there for I don't know how many years.
Ahmed wanted to say something.
But then I will go to a store if I have to use augmented reality. I can do sitting in my home or at my workplace or in a restaurant or wherever I want to be. If I have to really use augmented reality to shop, I can do that from anywhere and everywhere. I can be on a holiday, I could be sitting on a beach and doing it. So that is where my thing of augmented reality in physical stores. I'm not saying augmented reality is not going to happen. It's happening, as you rightly said. AI, augmented reality, blah, 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 technology is happening. And it's happening in bigger way than ever before. The rise has been exponential and it will go on for at least till we reach a zenith or till something really climactic happen. A different story. But to have augmented reality in a physical store is something which I sort of,
I don't think that people will go to the stores because there's augmented reality. People will go because they want the physicality of the space, the experience that we were talking about, that it's engaging, it's immersive, it has a story, it tells the narrative of the brand. I'm saying people will go there for different reasons, but I think the augmented reality or the AI just becomes, it assists you in the journey. So
But tell me, you guys have done projects all over the world. So this what you're saying, is it specific to India, or are you saying this is a kind of a global factor, or is it different in?
No, my point is, I'm just talking of human nature. If I'm in a shop,
right,
physically I've gone there, then I've gone for a physical experience of shopping. Otherwise, my interaction and my experience is happening sitting in a cafe, sitting in a restaurant, sitting in a library, sitting on a beach, sitting with my family, wherever I'm interacting with people. If I have to shop through AR, then I can do that sitting anywhere, is my point. So why should why should I go to a particular shop for a particular product to experience? Yeah, some way technology is getting integrated in a physical experience. That's a given. I'm not questioning that. I'm not doubting that. That's a way forward, irrespective. But AR taking big way in physical stores.
Right.
I'm questioning. At least still there is again a paradigm shift in more ways than we can foresee.
Okay.
Yeah, Ravish wanted to say something.
Yeah, Ravish.
I have a question to everyone. Would you buy fragrances and perfumes through AI?
It depends on who it depends on who I'm buying the perfume for.
That you might as well buy on online, man. I mean,
no, I'll give you.
Give me a whiff of other perfume.
Sorry, Amit, what did you say?
Yeah, Amit can't hear you.
If AI can create that experience of fragrance, if AI can create that experience of, then I don't need to buy the fragrance.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Then why do you even need to buy? I mean, your computer screen or something will pop out something, you know. I mean, I'm sure then the next thing you'll be hitting is the taste. Would you like to have like a tea?
Ravish, you made yourself hugely unpopular with that comment with the women.
No. Of course not.
No, I have a very good example of AI's intervention in stores. I don't know how many people have heard about Amazon Go stores. There are no check-in counters. You just need to have an Amazon Go store app in your mobile. You enter. If you have money in your wallet, Amazon wallet, then you can enter. You pick anything. That's a departmental store. So if you want to pick anything, you pick it. As soon as you pick the thing, it automatically adds in your cart, e-cart. And once you are out of that place, it will show you that bill. So there is no human interaction in that way. I mean, you can directly go and touch and feel, buy the product, and just move out.
So this is actually a mix of what you are saying, AI and the physical stores and the brick and mortar stores.
Yeah.
So I'm saying that it is still perhaps going to run parallelly, and you will use AI and VR technology to assist. I mean, I have seen stores where they have minimized the sales staff, where you walk into a store yourself, you pick your product, and you bring it to the kiosk, and you pay through your mobile phone and walk out, and the scanner checks. So there are only very few sales assistants just to help you in case your size or your product, which is of course mostly relating to the apparel. So it's already happening. But yes, people still want to walk into a physical store. I mean, I'm confident that this will continue to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. But this is not AI. This is, I mean, technology getting integrated into physical spaces, yes, but this is not AR.
No, it is not AR.
So my point was only related to AR. That's it.
Okay.
Technology.
Yeah, Jaya.
But Amit, to your question, even if it's just AR, and you said if I can get that experience online, why would I go to a store? It's just an add-on, right? I mean, it's an add-on excitement, right, at the store, where you're also able to physically touch at the same time, get a digital experience. It's like most of us can watch movies online, but if theaters, we'd still like to go to a movie hall, right? Yeah.
If it's for a gimmick, it's a different story. If it's for a novelty, it's a different story.
Right.
But it's not adding to my experience of shopping.
Okay.
Rishu?
Then
MG
what's the point of
started
doing it?
MG started this AR technology in their stores where they did not have any physical car in place. I mean, you go there, you wear the AR glasses, and then you can virtually see the car. You can change the colors. You can see the interiors. I mean, but then also it will never be the same experience as what you will have of a physical thing. Will with the touch of a product, I want to feel how the paint job is, how the dashboard quality is. I mean, I'm just talking about one example. So if it is done parallelly with stuff, then it works. I don't know how many people will agree with me, but that's how I feel. Yeah, Ravish.
Yeah,
The
I would
smart
like.
meter
Yeah, sorry, please carry on.
experience,
Carry on.
sorry.
Yeah, please go
Yes,
ahead.
Pankhuri.
Yeah, I was saying I was saying it's just a device which probably assists you if it's a smart mirror, which if I have to make choices right now, I'm wary of going into a trial room. It sort of helps me make my decision. Like, I am not saying in any way that it will replace the need of a physical experience. All I'm saying is that it can be a great tool which can minimize interaction, because that's just something people are wary of. And like I said, I think it might be short term because we don't know how this is going to pan out. But at least the short term concerns of people, I see technology, especially like things like AR, addressing.
Right.
Right.
If I may add, when you're particularly talking about the automobile buying experience, since have had the benefit of working with the automobile sector for more than 20-25 years, this is one of the few extremely emotional family experience. The entire family wants to visit. The only decision to select a particular model might happen online, but the entire family would want to step in, check the scale, dimensions, and like Rishu said, the materials, the color, the textures, the space inside, and then of course the driving experience. So how is it's going to ever replace? I mean, that's like I said very early in this discussion that automobile buying can never happen online. I mean, at the most, you might choose to say that, okay, I want to buy model A, model B, model C. But finally, it will have to be a total experience. Even the automobile companies who have tried the other ways of selling, I can't name it, but one of the earliest companies that I was working in late 90s, they came into India without stores. They were in super luxury segment. We were surprised to see we were building their first store, and we were surprised that they never even had a physical store anywhere in the country. So any customer which you want would like to buy that car, the salesperson will drive 2 or 3 colors to the doorstep. But then that was such a super luxury segment, they could afford to do it. Now an automobile, two-wheeler and four-wheeler is a mass product, and it's going into like tier 2, tier 3, I mean all levels of towns. So I don't see any reason that, yes, AI would definitely support it, but it's not the end.
Absolutely.
Rishu, this is a a discussion for and against AI, which is never ending. Some very interesting views put up by all the panelists. But let's carry on with our webinar. Your next question.
Yes. So my next question is that, since e-commerce has already, penetrated tier 1, tier 2, even the tier 3 cities, if the retail industry has to bounce back after lockdown, do you think that, as designers, the future will be in smaller remote towns? So Ravish, I want to ask you, are brands and retailers able to meet physical needs of more remote shoppers? Do you think that, there will be a shift towards smaller towns? The business will be more towards smaller towns?
To begin with, are we saying that the markets are saturated in metros? I mean, I know it's a counter question. That are we assuming that the markets are already saturated? Well, yes and no. But coming to your original question about the remote towns, I would say that one of the things, one of the major shift, which is a socio-economic shift, which might happen post this COVID, that lot of people, lot of jobs might shift to remote locations or to people's native places. That earlier, if I lived in a tier 2 or tier 3 town, I would seek employment in a larger town. But in the present scenario, because a lot of these online or offline modes of working have been put in place, and a lot of organizations might decide that, okay, 50% of our force would be in like tier 2 towns. So which means that we have a substantial purchasing power available in those cities. The moment that happens, this is a segment which has an amount of exposure, understanding, aspirations, and also awareness towards the latest brands and products.
Right.
And for them, the main challenge is how to access it. I mean, if you remember, since I am way senior than all of you, so I do remember certain things. There used to be a catalog buying. You know, in United States, it was very common that there's something called mail order catalog. I don't know how many of us would really remember that. I personally consider that e-commerce is nothing but a mail order catalog. I mean, where you look at a product and you decide. The reason mail order catalogs became very popular because it was difficult to reach the product and you did not have a physical store. So you looked at a dress, or you looked at a home product, or you looked at maybe an item of cutlery, and you decided, okay, I want it. So I placed a mail order and it delivered to you maybe in few weeks. But here, thanks to the e-commerce, your order goes in few seconds and is delivered maybe in less than few hours, or sometimes maybe in few days. Having said that, I still feel the physical stores in most of the town, tier 1, 2, 3 level towns, are now backed by extensive distribution network, supply chain management,
Right.
warehousing. So both ways, yes, it will run parallelly as the e-commerce as well as the physical stores, because the point remains that if I see something, if I get it, I mean, it's an old saying, you know, I mean, if I may say in Hindi, that all retailers will tell you, jo dikhta hai, wo bikta hai. So a retailer, a customer walks into a space and he looks at something, he may not have decided to buy that product, but he chooses it. So I see that most of the remote towns now have ample retail networks, retail infrastructures, whether in the form of standalone street stores or sometimes even smaller malls. So I see that ample scope of growth for retail segment in these cities.
You know, Ravish, I read somewhere that Amazon Retail India, which already has, I think, presence in more than 100 cities, has planned to expand to another 60 odd tier 2 and tier 3 cities in a big way by setting up delivery centers in the range of about 2,000 square feet or so for its hub and spoke kind of supply chain that will be fed from large warehouses in nearby areas. This is something that you mentioned during your answer. So how would you react to that?
You see, again, like I'm saying, it's a question of the product. Some people may buy a shoe looking at online, or buy a pair of trousers, buy a t-shirt or a shirt. But I'm sure still there's very large number of people who still want to touch and feel and experience a product. Perhaps we are all aware that very, very large number of products on e-commerce are bought with a warranty or a guarantee that there will be an exchange policy. I don't know, probably since I am not aware of those numbers, but I know a very large number of products go back and replaced, which is actually leading to challenge for the delivery infrastructure. Because I didn't like the size, I didn't like the color, it didn't fit me properly. So like I'm saying, if it's an item of FMCG goods, you know, the groceries or say the toiletries, I'll have absolutely, barring of course fragrances, I'll still order online, and I'll have absolutely no challenge that if I use a particular brand of soap or a particular brand of shampoo, I don't have any issue ordering it online and somebody delivers a packet at my home. But yes, I want to wear a shoe and walk and see like how the leather feels.
Right. So Ravish, you are convinced that retail is going to be there. Maybe there will be some kind of reduction. But tell me, so where will retail be? Will it stay in malls, or will it shift to smaller local markets? Because there's a huge requirement of de-densification and disaggregation. So what do you feel there?
You see, this
Will our smaller markets come back?
Let me just quickly answer that. It's been defined early that there are like primarily at present two kinds of stores, the standalone and those in the malls. This decision, or in the open markets, I mean, you could give example, like I gave the example of Connaught Place. Of course, you have South Extension, you have similar markets elsewhere in the country, which are like established that, if you have a market in Colaba in Bombay, then people want to go there because they want to experience that. But the point remains that the decision whether it will move to malls or whether it will be standalone is also a question of the value of real estate. The malls happen because, like you said, re-densifications, that we want to pack more numbers in smaller areas. And the mall model has certain merits, because the mall is not just merely a shopping arena. It's also a place where people are going for, like I said, entertainment. They are going to watch movies. It's like a family destination over the weekend. There is food, there is food court, there is fine dining, there is entertainment, and there's also shopping. So it becomes like a destination that, I walk in. I mean, there are malls here. There's a huge mall. One of the largest is called Mall of the World in Minneapolis, Minnesota, which has actually an amusement park built in within the mall.
Right. Right. So shopping experience is not just shopping. Actually, it's a complete experience for your family.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Rishu, you were saying something.
That's also true of a marketplace. Market offers various activities. A shopping mall is more controlled environment. You have, biggest thing is your thermal comfort inside, your protection from rain, heat, everything. But otherwise, any market offers various activities. Any good old melas that we used to have.
Yeah.
I remember going once to a Gwalior Mela, which was nothing built. They built a whole town for 1 month. There was a huge spread over acres and acres of land, selling everything from, cutlery, crockery, toys made out of mud, to tractors, to bloody every automobile guy was present there. Every tractor guy and truck guy was present there selling their vehicles. Reach the and people from I don't know how many thousands of villages used to visit that Mela. So
right.
So, and it had full on entertainment. It had circus. It had food. It had, name it. It was all there. So shopping and retail. When we talk online and all that retail, we're only talking of physical purchase. We talk about retail of services, restaurant. Now, despite online grocery and food deliveries and all, restaurant business has been booming across the world over the last 1 decade, exponentially. So that whole experience of dining out, the whole experience of going out for anything and everything. So with the advent of e-commerce, with the advent of e-retail across segments, the other things have also grown. So it has been the whole consumerism driven economies, and everything goes together, whether it's a mall, a high street shop, e-retail, service experiences, they all grow together.
Right.
So I would like to ask everyone here. We've talked a lot about how the AI will come into place, how markets will change. What we haven't talked about is that after this post-COVID, do we see any changes in the way we think? The way we design, the way we will have new kind of patterns in stores, some certain things that we will follow. or it's just a temporary situation that we will get, over with it? Anybody would like to comment on that?
I will quote something from history.
Yeah.
The whole concept of having wedding trousseaux and wedding dresses started in West World. Of course, it came to India much later, post World War II. So you had in America, you had set up huge factories to make uniforms for the forces, and you had a huge workforce there. And once the war ended, there was no need to make those uniforms. So what were those factories, those setters, and that workforce was going to do? And the whole need for creating wedding dresses started from there. The whole thing of wearing new dresses for weddings and all that jazz in a big way in the mass market. I'm not again talking of the rich and the influential. So post every crisis, and longer the crisis lasts, longer are the more profound are the changes that happen overall in the society. Faster is the pace of development after that.
Right.
And new ways, new avenues, new opportunities come up. So it will all depend how much we change, how much the world changes, how much the market changes, will all depend how long this crisis lasts. We all wish it ends sooner than later and we all go back to normal. And we will all go back to normal. It just depends what the new normal would be and when that happens.
Right.
So again, who knows the future? And again, it depends how longer it takes to get there. If it takes longer, the future will be entirely different from what we have experienced so far.
Right. So I'll just quickly run the last poll that we have.
Yeah, Rishu.
What would be the state of physical retail in India by 2025? Digital and physical going hand in hand? Major shift to digital? Or popular in small towns only?
These polls, Rishu, are digital and physical going hand in hand, whopping 70%.
70%, yes.
Rishu, if I can just come in here for a minute.
Yeah.
Most of the panelists feel that the future of retail will not have a sea change. But, I have a point to make here. Most millennials, who I think constitute almost 50% of the working population, spend most of their money on entertainment, apparel, and accessories. And they are really tech savvy. So will they need physical retail at all in the future? I know my daughter doesn't need it at all. So, are we, when we are giving our views, are we thinking about people of our generation, or are we thinking of the younger generation, the millennials, etc.?
I think everyone will need social spaces. Now, I just think retail just happens to be one of those social spaces. And while, again, going back to them being more experiential spaces, but I think that need doesn't change whether you're 60 or whether you're 16. I think the need to be in physical spaces, the need to be with people. So I think that goes across. So I think that won't really change.
Right. I think Amit, some time back, he put it very nicely. He said, shopping is not just about shopping. It's a complete experience of, mixing with people, social interactions. So that is something which is there to stay.
So the millennials also are the most frequent visitors to bars and pubs and restaurants.
Absolutely.
So the shift is there. They sit in a restaurant and they order things online. Or they take deliveries in restaurants because they live in some orbit places. They don't know when they're going home. Okay, deliver me here.
Yeah.
So, it's very interesting. So again, when you see retail, overall, it's always going to be a mix. The formats may keep changing. I'm sorry, I interrupted Jay. I wanted to say something.
No. So I was just saying, see, physical, today we're living in a world age of storytelling, right? Millennials like to put up stories. Maybe they'll put up those stories on the social media platforms, but physical spaces give you that opportunity to create those stories, not sitting at home and doing something online. So yeah, I think millennials will.
So, Rishu, I see that we are past 7. So, do we have more questions, or should I ask Hemant to take questions from our audience?
I think we had one question about AI, which we have already discussed a lot.
We had already discussed.
Yeah,
yes.
so we'll move to the question and
We can
answer
skip
questions.
that. Hemant, can you come in here? All right. While Hemant comes on, I have a question. I feel that the stores in future, instead of being standalone, have to be multi-brand and multi-product. So do you agree with that? I mean, which means a store selling shoes should also have clothes and accessories. So what do you feel about that, Jaya? You'll have to unmute yourself.
Keep muting myself. I agree. I agree, Ravi. I think that would probably the way some brands would opt to go. Yeah, expanding the portfolio. Yeah.
Yes, Ravish.
See, most of the brands are already invented themselves over a period of time. That suppose, particularly some apparel brands that I'm aware of, that they have gone into, if they were like very formal and the only aiming to a particular age group, have also added casual products, sportswear, and like you said, footwear and accessories, and the other related items, because it is not merely the need from the customer point of view, it's also a huge opportunity for the brand. I know brands who are like totally like clothing brands, and they have ended up adding other things like accessories, things like footwear, things like leather products, bags, because they find that a customer if they have a certain degree of brand loyalty, is a captive audience. I mean, a brand like, I can name the international brands like Marks and Spencer sells cakes and chocolates and wines in their stores.
Right. No, yeah, that was precisely my question. So, will we have more should we have more Marks and Spencers and Westsides rather than standalone, luxury brand stores?
Well, again, I'm saying my answer would be yes and no.
Yeah, I agree. I think it'll, because in the luxury space, I don't think this formula would work. I would see luxury going forward becoming more and more personalized and very customized. So I don't think this generic, like one size fits all formula would work at all in luxury. So it really depends on which segment we're talking about.
Yeah, Amit, you want to say something?
Yeah, so Gucci and Louis Vuitton both have their bigger stores. Both have started running restaurants there. So, so again, it will all and then of course you go to Anoki and Fab India getting into restaurant spaces. So it will all be a function of your bandwidth. Across spectrum, across would be purely a question of your bandwidth, your market forces. Everybody wants to increase how much you can handle, how much real estate you want to invest in. It's all going to be a function which anybody takes on purely on, it's a financial and economic decision which every brand takes and experiments with. You want to increase footfall, but then you have to pay extra rentals, blah, blah, blah. So again, it's market forces that work pure and simple.
Also brings us to the point about stores being community spaces, I guess. So that would mean expanding what the offerings in the store, right? You add your cafes, you add your interaction zones and so on.
Not necessarily, I would imagine. You could also have one offering, but just the experience that you create around it could be so special that it brings people to your space. I don't think just by creating multiple diluted experiences,
community spaces.
It depends on what segment, I would imagine. In a mass segment for sure, but I don't really see that working in the luxury segment.
We have a interesting question from Mr. Rakesh Chauhan. He has asked that considering ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, wherein circulating air from HVAC system is supposed to be the biggest threat in spreading the disease like, COVID. what design intervention are needed, especially in high footfall public areas like large shopping mall complex, to minimize the chances of conditioned air coming in physical contact with the shoppers?
Okay.
Yeah.
Let Ravish take this.
You see, first thing is it's yet to be established that whether the COVID really spreads through air conditioning systems or HVAC systems. I think the research is still on. But having said that, even if we assume that it does go through when there is a air which is like recycled back into the space, we do have a technology. You see, technology is generally ahead. It's only that the cost is prohibitive. We do have a technology that we can have 100% air change or a partial air change or mix more fresh air. Now, whether it will be possible to adapt it as quickly, which of course will be a challenge, the financial as well as the operational costs would be added. But yes, in terms of technology, it is quite doable. And as we understand, because of this illness, this infection, things are, there's a certain amount of social distancing and crowd control is now the new norm.
Right. Yeah. And Ravish, since you're talking of technology, I attended a session with Ashray, where there were people who were talking about HEPA filters and UV filters and all that. Can you throw some light on that?
You see, this HEPA filters is basically which filters air before throwing it into the space. Some of the companies have already made this as a standard product, part of the standard product, thanks to the challenges of pollution in Delhi. In fact, some of the companies have already been selling VRV systems which have inbuilt filtration system, except for that these have to be constantly maintained, they have to be cleaned. It's not something that you install and forget about it. Apart from that, there is also a concept of something called TFA, which any air conditioning expert could throw light on, which is treated fresh air, which is brought in terms to reduce the ambient temperature. Plus, it is also mixing certain amount of fresh air, because most of the places, the air is being recirculated, which is a difficult thing. For instance, in an OT, in a hospital, there's always 100% air change. The air is never recycled. Now, can we make a shopping mall or design the air conditioning system like an OT? That is a big question.
Right. I have a couple of questions which I have sort of flagged from the audience. There's a question from Sushil Chaudhary, which says, in the likelihood of the rush of global brands into Indian cities over the next 5 years, which kind of design shifts are anticipated by the panel? Will Indian design sectors begin to impact stores even located out of India, reversing the practice of simply replicating their designs?
Ravi,
very interesting question. Yeah.
Ravi, I'm just putting Rakesh as a panelist. He would want to add something.
Okay. Okay. So while you add, Rakesh, would anyone like to answer this question that Sushil Chaudhary has posed?
So in a world that we live in, ideas flow across. So it's already happening to some extent, but it will only accentuate if. So how many Indian brands do we know which have gone global?
Right.
So till that starts happening, the Indian design is going global, and I'm talking typically of retail. The scope by the sheer the way industry works stays limited. But at the same point, the design community in India is very vibrant, and a lot of people I know have done great work internationally. They are doing, and ideas definitely today go across spectrums.
Sorry, continue. I thought you were done.
And I would like to talk about air conditioning. I'm sorry, I was trying to. I think that what we need to do, because air conditioning is the biggest energy guzzler in our country today, and across the globe actually. So I hope this crisis leads to technologies which are less energy consuming, which are more passive, which rely more on fresh air, which rely on higher temperatures but maintaining comfort. We can maintain good comfort at 28 degrees. We don't have to reach 22 degrees, be it our homes, offices, or retail environments. So that is the one paradigm shift I hope, and I sincerely hope that this crisis leads us to. Living more with fresh air, living with more open windows, living, I mean, filters and TFAs and all have been there, have been used, but they are doing nothing but consuming even more energy. And we really have to go in a way where we start consuming less energy and start creating better environments for indoor spaces. Anyway, so yeah, sorry.
Welcome, Rakesh, to the panel.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, Rakesh.
Actually, I just wanted to rephrase my question. I have been myself practicing HVAC professional for more than 2 decades.
Okay.
So whatever esteemed panelists have mentioned over here, use of different filtration and all, that's a kind of, I'll say, hardware of the air conditioning system, like diluting air by mixing more fresh air, cleaning them with HEPA and water. Incidentally, HEPA is not the effective filtration when it comes to viruses and all because of the size limitation it has. But then there are other methods which professionals are utilizing, including ultraviolet cleaning, those plasma clusters and all. So there are many other options available. And I actually like the point mentioned by Amit, that is something which is already happening. Finding new comfort zones, high temperatures and some limited range of relative humidity. That's part of hardcore air conditioning business. I don't want to get into detailing here. I come back to my question. My question was, since this is the designer fraternity, all ideas take birth at your design table. And since this challenge has come in front of us, and conventional system may not be effective, all HVAC professionals, they must be trying their best to come up with some solution. Entire world is working on this. Anything in terms of physical movement of, like first webinar I attended, there were talks about physical movement of the people, entry from one side, exit from other side. I'm also doing a lot of research work on physicality of the space, probably redefinition of personal space. If air is coming in contact with one person, can we reduce this? Is there any thought being put to this idea where even people are moving freely in the space like a retail mall and their personal space is not affected? I'm considering air as a big factor, even though Ravish ji mentioned some time back it's not established. But if you look at when it started in Wuhan, first contact, when they said there's community transfer, it was attributed to a customer infected by COVID in one of the restaurants in Wuhan. That there was no other contact. So air came in contact with one of the customer who was infected with COVID, then it went to other person. So movement of air in the conditioned space, there are many ways HVAC guys are looking at into. Like we throw air from the floor level and take return from the top, and hot air moves and try and minimize air traveling unnecessarily in the conditioned space. That's a thermal physics part of it. Depend more on conduction than physical contact of air. But I wanted to see if any one of you have put any thoughts behind it in view of designing of these spaces, that you can restrict the movement and you can ensure that by designing or bringing those concepts, can we reduce the intervention or air touching multiple people before going back? Having fresh air, OT kind of application, I think Ravish ji is a very seasoned professional. He has already mentioned cost is prohibitive. So can we find alternate solutions to this? And maybe some design elements can be thought about it.
Somebody like Pankhuri?
No, I think the whole concept of air conditioning needs to be relooked at. I think I'm more aligned to what Amit said in terms of passive cooling, like really questioning what is the nature of conditioned spaces that we need. So technically, I don't think we've, like, any of us have really indulged in this to this detail yet, because we are still sort of grappling with it and waiting out to see how much does this impact us. Like, I think maybe eventually as our projects move on, if this doesn't blow over soon enough, I think we'll have to sort of go deeper into the actual technology of it. But at least right now, I think what we look at in our projects at least is how can we really minimize air conditioning and what are natural and more passive techniques that we can bring in. So
okay, right. Anybody else has a viewpoint on that? Because I can then take another question from the audience. Right. So there's this question from Sanjana Sood. She says, how will designers be able to create immersive experiential experiences by minimizing touch and feel, as customers will not be feeling confident about spending time at retail spaces post-lockdown? Any out-of-the-box solutions or ideas?
I think Ravi.
Rishu, you're smiling, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm saying that we have already discussed, how the sanitization process will happen, and either we walk into the store and we are not allowed to touch anything. That could be one. That could be one thing.
So that is if there's a huge influence of AI and augmented reality. But what Rakesh was saying to me made a lot of sense, because if we can regulate movement of people, of customers within stores, I think half the battle would be won there.
Yeah. Pankhuri wanted to say something.
Right. Yeah, please go ahead.
If I'm so afraid, why would I go into a store? So
Exactly.
there has to be no fear. I'll do something where I'm not afraid. So are we talking of post-COVID, or are we talking during COVID? There's a huge difference here. Or as I say, if there's a new normal where we have to live in that fear, new paradigms will evolve. Behaviors will change.
See, also from the point of view of the retailer, restricted movement and regulating movements and limiting footfall is totally counterproductive. I mean, a retailer wants as many people to come into the store. I mean, like Amit said, if the person is really so much afraid, then you always have the e-commerce. I mean, sit in your home.
Yeah.
So for the designers, the challenge is to ensure, I mean, we just can't look at one point of view. We just cannot look at only from the point of view of the customer or the mall manager. We also have to look at the retailer's interest, because if the retailer survives and exists, only then the stores and the business will grow. And the retailer would want as many people in.
Contact, one can look at, there can be smaller measures which can be taken, but I also completely agree. If you're going into the store, then you're going in for that experience, and you better be prepared for it. If you're not, then stay at home.
Yeah.
A couple of interesting things that came up in the chat that you might want to think about. Mukul has mentioned that did the long lines in front of liquor stores give anyone an idea that physical retail is here to stay regardless, come what may?
Can I answer that, Hemant?
Yeah, liquor you should answer.
I bought 4 bottles of liquor yesterday. It's so well organized. This is in Vasant Kunj. I was 6th in the line, and within 10 minutes, I was out of the store after buying 4 bottles. So it's not difficult at all. The long lines happened in the beginning, but now they are not happening. I mean, at most liquor stores, it's very organized, and people are happy doing it. So I think at the end of the day, the mindsets have to change. That you have to break queues and try and get in front of the other guys. But if you follow rules, if you follow discipline, everything can go on as before.
But you see, once the online delivery of liquor begins, I think half these lines would vanish anyways. I mean, that's really the regulations by the government, that if they permit the more organizations to deliver, I don't think it will make so much of difference.
Do you think that really happened in a big way?
Well,
Online delivery of liquor?
That is a policy shift from the government.
Why should it not?
Something for us to say.
It doesn't affect the taxation, so I don't think that they will really bother.
Yeah, true.
Another question, or rather a comment that came up, is that's for a question actually for Amit. Chetna wants to know which F&B outlet is doing double their regular business during COVID. Because it seems she's attended a few more panels on webinars on hospitality, and everyone's crying about what a bad year it's been, or what a bad few months it's been.
No, in fact, we have done quite a few and touched all of them. I mean, like that's one segment which is booming right now. So,
but is this the online sale? Is this the takeaway, or is it
physical?
The physical part of it.
Physical part.
Because I know a lot of restaurants that just didn't open up.
I'm talking of pure. I mean, I'm talking of a supermarket. I'm talking of selling of goods, not restaurants, of course.
Okay. No, we are talking about F&B as a whole, so I mean, it could be misunderstood as restaurants and outlets.
Definitely, restaurants are all shut. Restaurants are not even open and only taking care of them. No, not at all. I'm talking of food stores.
Food stores, okay. That clarifies a lot.
Food stores, meat shops.
See, when we talk about stores, there are two aspects to it. One is the shopper, and one is the person tending to him. So why can we not have robotics coming in a big way, robots attending to customers?
I don't think I will go to the store.
Yeah, those are people who are at the bigger risk right now. I mean, we talk of as a customer afraid going to a shop, but think of a person who's serving you there, and he's
exactly. That's my point. Yeah.
Now, so from purely, but again, are we talking of really living in this fear forever? Is that the new normal of living in this fear, or are we gonna, like other epidemics in the past, this will die out and we will come out of it? If we don't come out of it, if this becomes the new normal, the new paradigms will evolve.
Yeah, because I think, see, we are only talking about the present virus, but the way things are going, I think we have to be prepared for future viruses too. So every time we are not caught napping.
So, okay, there was a Ebola just last year in Africa. It didn't affect us directly, but people it affected, it was far more lethal and far more scary. There have been other viruses, and viruses have been coming through human life for as long as we have known or studying viruses, and we are still studying viruses. We don't know. Yep. Every time we say there's so many viruses, then there are so many viruses, then there are so many viruses. The things keep going on and on. So this is, I mean, we didn't know HIV till a few decades back, right? It did not exist in human population. It came, it became a big thing, and now slowly we have sort of come to live with it.
Right.
So Ebola, HIV, SARS, so on and so forth. So viruses will keep happening, and we are a resilient species, and we will keep discovering ways and everything and all that to overcome that thing and to go on.
Right, right. And viruses are getting smarter.
Who are we?
Who are we? Who are we?
I mean, we are the one encroaching on environment. By the day, the encroachment is increasing. So environment and the viruses that already exist in the environment have to come into our space, right? Yep. We take away a leopard's habitat. Leopard starts coming into villages. We take away tiger's habitat. Tigers die down. We are taking away habitats of bats and viruses and all. They have to somewhere, sometime they will come hit back at us.
Absolutely.
So probably what we learn is to be more conscious of how much we are encroaching our environment, and that's a paradigm shift I hope comes out of this whole thing, that we become more conscious. Unfortunately, the biggest pitfall I'm seeing right now is so much disposable plastic we are using in this pandemic. The amount we were talking about plastic, but the amount of plastic we have started using in this last few months, I mean, it's nobody's even talking of it right now. But just imagine the disposables being used every day by every one of us.
Yeah.
Directly, indirectly, through groceries we are getting, through supplies we are getting. Just imagine the amount of plastic we are adding to the environment to keep ourselves safe. The environment will hit back at us.
Okay, and finally, one last question. And since we
are, Hemant, we've got 2 minutes to go. So
since it's a design format, let me bring you back to design finally. And people are wanting to know that what changes will, besides the usual social distancing and sanitization, and now even we talk about air circulation and filtration, what changes are designers wanting to bring or planning to bring about in the designs that they do for retail, and for especially the materials that are used in retail? Will there be any paradigm shift in that? Anyone would like to take that?
I think I said my places more environmentally sensible, less air conditioning, more products which are local, which are produced by masses rather than mass produced, which support local crafts. I think we all have been talking about that, and I think that's.
I believe what these people have been asking in the attendees, the chats that have been coming. Also, they want to know is, since this is a virus that is bothering us, are we looking at antiviral, antibacterial, antifungal, antimicrobial, anything of that sort? So, change A material to B material so that it's better or will clean easier or whatever. Ravish.
Some of the paints manufacturing companies have already been experimenting, and these are like quite common now, particularly for the healthcare sector, that they have the antibacterial and antiviral paints and surface coatings which prevent the growth. How effective they are, perhaps we still need to understand from the research, and whether this virus is also sort of not sustainable on those surfaces. But yes, this would probably call for certain such interventions. And also I'm told that there are certain materials like metal on which the virus survives, or certain materials on which it doesn't survive. So the chances are that we might end up using, whether some in the form of laminates or in terms of paints or in terms of surface coatings. Also, there is a possibility now in future that our maintenance protocol might change completely, that we might want to clean our spaces more often with a different perhaps equipment and approach, so that, I mean, suddenly now you see, if there are railings, you see like in malls or in commercial places, like people going around wiping railings. So perhaps the design of railing will have to be rethought of, that, there are less surfaces to clean.
And doorknobs and door handles.
Yeah, exactly. Today I already received, I'm sure some of you might have also received some kick plates on the floor that you push. I mean, the videos have been circulating around. I got it only today, that you don't need to touch the doorknobs. You see, if I may take, I know we are short of time, but Japan has always had a culture of not touching many things. I mean, I traveled through Japan some 10, 12 years back. I saw it that almost every establishment had the sensor doors, the sensor taps, the sensor urinals, to the extent of even having sensor-based WCs, even in the public toilets, which has of course become now a norm even in India. So their feel of touching, I mean, I realized that sometime 10 years back when I saw that, I suddenly felt that here, maybe they have a fear of touching. So the metro, like, nobody touches their doors. I mean, they open by themselves, you stand. We always have those technologies. So perhaps there is a possibility that more and more such technologies will be utilized.
Right. Apart from technology, there must be some materials which where the virus stays for shorter periods. So maybe there will be more use of such materials.
I think also, while materials is one thing, but also in the store planning, like just the density of retail spaces, how products are placed in the spaces. I think that's also going to be a factor, because like maybe like the number of SKUs that you have in a store, maybe you have lesser products, and that's where technology comes in, that you use technology to aid that experience. So I think it'll be a mix of the store planning and of course the materials that we use in the spaces.
There was also, Pankhuri, a very interesting observation somebody gave, that they may not in future stock too much and
exactly what I'm getting.
taking that area into the front of the shop itself, thereby increasing the space and then creating more space between SKUs. Absolutely, and once you select something, you place the order and it will be hand delivered, it will be delivered to your house. So you do away with the area of the back of the house area is all gone.
Yeah.
And you don't have any stock at all. All the stock is kept in a remote location. You go to a shop, place the order, and then it gets delivered to you.
Yes. So that's definitely a possibility.
Jay, any last comments from your side?
No, I was just saying, when you talk about sustainability and taking this extra caution to maintain hygiene, there are indications and projections that shoppers also, especially millennials, prefer brands that are more responsible. That kind of preference is probably going to go up now, going ahead. We've already seen that brands that communicate that they are environmentally sustainable and responsible right from the manufacturing process to retailing, to the communication they use and the packaging, studies have shown. So I think that trust will necessitate some of these measures. I think it will become inevitable going forward.
Amit, close it up.
So I was reading a book before the COVID thing, which had a social experiment where they put a dye on a person's hand. He walks into office, and by the end of the day, they switched on UV lights, and 80% occupants of that office had that dye on their hands or their faces, and blah 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 blah. So this thing has always been there. This is how you transmit cold. This is how you transmit other viruses, other diseases, and all that jazz. And in our office, around 7-8 years back, we had taps with a foot pedal. Reduced water consumption completely. No sensor, no electricity, no cost. Literally that foot pedal, which costs a few $100, was installed. The best water conservation and zero touch. So these are smart things that we need to anyways incorporate into our lives. Going forward, let's be frugal, let's be smart, and let's be positive. And this time too shall pass.
So can we close it with one last question with one yes or no answer? Are we positive about retail in the future, in the near future?
Yes.
Yes. Ravish?
Yes.
Okay, everyone seems to be positive. Jaya?
Yes, of course.
Okay. Okay, so on that great note, thank you everyone. And once again, thank you all for taking time out and being part of the panel. Rishu, while I say my thank yous, you can run the well-spun AV please with the volume. And I'd once again like to thank everyone for participating, all the panelists. Thank you so much for taking out time. Thank you to my 6 other chapters, Goa, Jaipur, Mumbai, Chandigarh, Mangalore and Coimbatore for the collaborative effort. And we are going to have the next webinar again very soon, 6 a month for the next 6 months and maybe longer.
Yeah, thank you all. Thank you, Wilson.
Thank you. Thank you.
Probably, Hemant, you can announce about our design dialogues coming up on Tuesday.
That will be announced anyway, but yes, Design Dialogues is on Tuesday. We have 2 eminent designers, Sunita Kohli and Sonali Rastogi, in dialogue with each other on various topics related to COVID and not to COVID. Rishu, can we have the AV, please? Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
From humble beginnings in 1985, today, Wellspun Group takes pride in being one of the world's largest home textile manufacturers and large diameter pipe makers, and finds a place on India's Fortune 500 list too. All thanks to creating category-defining products. And we aim to replicate that in flooring through Wellspun Flooring. Just the thought of dust, noise, mess, and the time it takes to change floors, along with the lack of exciting designs, forced people to resist a change in flooring. Not anymore. Wellspun Flooring has introduced innovative products with new age, personalized, and exciting designs. So be it a new space or an old floor, we are all about change made easy. We have our innovative products to speak for us. Wellspun Flooring's click and lock tiles, with their unique click and lock technology, are a revolution in the flooring segment. For those looking for comfort of carpets in a convenient tile form, our carpet tiles are the right fit. If people want flooring with a seamless charm, they don't have to look any further than our wall-to-wall carpets. Or if they wish for something that looks like real grass, or even better, greens is what we have for them. And with our path-breaking fusion floors, customers can turn designers by mixing and matching products and designs. Get set for a revolution in flooring with well-spun flooring.
Okay, thank you everybody. And see you at the next webinar.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.